This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
Good morning, Boston. It's great to be back here. This is an exciting 2 weeks, actually, just coming up. We're back-to-back with some great guests. In fact, I've got to tell you, rates are phenomenal. Over 50 years since we've ever seen rates in the fours, low fours. And I actually have a wonderful guest here. It's someone who can help you out with buying or selling your home. Jay Balaban from the Surrealtors with Prudential Unlimited. Good morning, Jay. How are you?
I'm doing well, Sarah. How are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, I'm very excited to have you here this morning because it's important for folks to know what we're working with in the market space and obviously what you can do to help them out.
Absolutely. A lot of people really don't appreciate what it is, the many different pieces that come into being a realtor and the many different things that we tie together to actually make transactions come together.
I think one of the big things, actually, Jay, which I really respect a lot about your company is that we've worked with you in the past. You've helped folks with finding homes and making sure that they are comfortable with the place that they're moving into. And with our partnership, which has been a really wonderful partnership.
Thank you.
We do want folks to know that this is a great time to buy. Our financing options allow folks to at least look at 3.5% down instead of 20% down. I mean, what are your recommendations on families or even young people that are looking to purchase or even folks that are looking to move if they're retiring to downsize maybe?
Well, I'll tell you, there are a lot of opportunities out there right now, depending on what it is that you're looking for. And recognizing that real estate sometimes is an exercise in compromise. But still, there's a lot out there. A lot of people think that because of what's happening in the economy, that there just isn't much. And while we're seeing lower inventory levels than what we would consider to be quote unquote normal,
Right.
There's still prices are lower than they've been in the past.
Right.
And you know, there are definitely places in the Boston market that are hurting, but there are also places in the Boston market that are doing fabulously. And people are out there, they're making offers, and properties are going under agreement.
I think one of the greatest things is that there's this mentality right now where folks don't have the right information. They think that they can't get financed. And I really encourage our listeners to call. You can reach us at 1-800-662-9550. We work with Jay closely in respect to not only finding the home of your dreams, but to make sure that you're financed to a point where you can afford that home versus, you know how that goes, Jay. It's not about just having the biggest house. It's just making sure that you can maintain the payments, that you're not looking at just the bigger is better kind of attitude.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've loved about the people at Mohsin that I've worked with is that, you know, they're not out there saying, oh, well, regardless of what the situation is, oh, well, you know, we can qualify you for X amount, which is ridiculous. You guys recognize that people have, yes, they may be able to qualify for whatever the amount of that massive mortgage is, but then there's a comfort level, and the comfort level is a huge, huge thing.
I think it is, and the value added really is the relationships that you build, and I mean, I'm sure you've seen that with the first-time home buyer who's looking to find that home and sort of move in and settle in, and also the value added of what you're paying in rent versus what you would pay for a mortgage, because when you're building equity, which is really important, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, even in your 50s, you know that you're building asset by just actually getting financed. And you've seen the market space with properties right now. You can actually get some exceptional types of homes for a little bit lower.
You absolutely can. And, you know, it really depends on where you're looking and what you're looking for. But there are opportunities out there all over the city, both in what's out there just in the conventional market, also what's out there in the way of foreclosures, even in the way of short sales, which I'm finding are, shall we say, difficult sometimes.
Well, I think that we have to be frank about the short sales. I think that, you know, people have this great idea of, I'm going to buy this home, which is going to cost me a lot less. But when you're working with a property that's been foreclosed or it's a short sale, now you're negotiating with the lender. And often enough, you and I know that the day of closing, you're now in a situation where the bank may actually say, no, we're not closing this because there's a better offer. I would say
if it gets to the day of closing and they've said no,
right.
I'd say actually in many cases you're in a better situation than my experience with short sales. Foreclosures I found are actually so much easier.
I would say that you don't necessarily have to look at that route, because when you have properties that have been vacant, you have other issues. These properties have had no maintenance perhaps for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. When you're walking away from a property, it will cost you at some point to look at what's going on. Is there anything that's been done to that property where you would need it inspected more than once over the period of that financing, period? I do believe that there are great properties that haven't been foreclosed on or are not in short sale, and you've done work with us where people can find good, affordable housing. We work with folks from all walks of life, which is critical. We've worked with folks that want to buy a $400,000 property or a multi-million-dollar property. The key is this, Jay. It's not about the fact that you have to have perfect scores.
Absolutely.
If you're at a 640 or a 660 score, we can get you financed, and we can get you that at a very low down payment, which is at 3.5%. And typically what the average person who comes in and talks to you, chats with you a little bit about housing and what they can afford, sometimes they're a little bit fearful also with where the economy is.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's never, the economy situation right now is, there's no denying, difficult. But it doesn't mean that there is an opportunity out there. And it's a question of, just being able to check on your, or have the mortgage broker check on what your credit is. And then just really following through. Even if you have what people would generally consider a relatively low credit score,
right.
There are ways of improving that.
I think that one of the key things is to ask the question. And that is why you just give us a call. The number is 1-800-662-9550. Because if you don't ask the question, you're going to have the wrong information. And I think I'm going to have my very good friend and coach who is going to be on the air on Wednesday. It's about life choices and things that can actually change the direction of how you can be better at what you do. And it's not only about finances, but it's about life. It's about real estate. And that's why I encourage folks to reach out to Jay, call us on our 1-800-662-9550 number, and get the right information, because what I love about you, Jay, is you're bullish. You are on, and you will make sure that person is in the home that they love. You have shown, multiple homes to multiple people, and you certainly want to make sure that they're happy.
Sometimes it's showing 2 houses to somebody, sometimes it's showing 50 or 60 or 70 houses to somebody before they find exactly what it is that they're looking for. And, you've just got to stick with it, stick-with-itness.
Are there any specific areas that you would say are good places for the market right now and people to look at with you?
We cover all of Metro Boston. We've been way up on the North Shore. We've been down to the Cape out as far as Worcester. We're based in Jamaica Plain. But there are opportunities all over the city. There are opportunities out into the suburbs. And it's just really a question of where you're looking and what you're looking for.
Have you seen anything that is unique right now with the market space? Because they've said that there are areas that have gone up in values.
Our office, based in Jamaica Plain, but that's Prudential Unlimited, has 2 offices, where one is in Jamaica Plain, one is in Brookline. Brookline and Newton have largely held their value almost right through the economy and what's been happening. Jamaica Plain, Rosendale, West Roxbury. But I could go, there are, like I said, places outside of the city, and sometimes even within a particular neighborhood, say Dorchester or Mattapan, for instance. There are neighborhood by neighborhood, and sometimes it's street by street, and just recognizing what an opportunity is. And that's one of the things that we do as a realtor and as a buyer's agent.
I tell you, folks, this is the time to buy. I keep saying it. Rates are phenomenal. I mean, literally, we're looking at rates in the 4s, very low 4s. You're not going to see this again for a very long time. The financing side we take care of. Jay is phenomenal. His company is great with taking care of everyone that we have actually passed on to them. And I think that buying a home that you can actually afford, if we actually looked at the numbers, if you're renting today, you're going to end up probably paying more than if you were looking at getting financed and purchasing a home.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Jay, that what would you think is the most common misconception right now with buyers or even sellers?
The most common misconception out there right now is that people can't afford to do this. And if you're working with the right mortgage company, if you're working with the right brokers, there are all kinds of possibilities. There are all kinds of flexibilities in being able to, look at what can be done. We can help you figure it out.
Anything's possible, right, Jay?
Absolutely.
Well, it's been great having you here. I'm going to definitely bring you back here on Tuesday because I just don't want our listeners to miss out on the information that you have given us because it's very valuable. And I have to say to our listeners, it's always wonderful hearing from you. Please reach out to us, 1-800-662-9550. We're on 24/7. You can also get on Facebook or our website, Mohsin, Mohsin, mortgage.com. There's an online application, and certainly we have Twitter and Facebook. So don't be shy. And Jay, I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow.
I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Stay well, Boston.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.